In this video, we're going to learn how to interface Niagara with the 7-Knox platform using the new Niagara module. Before we begin, you'll want to close your Niagara Workbench Supervisory app and ensure that the station is not running in Application Director. If it is running, stop it and close Workbench. We will start Workbench after we've downloaded the 7-Knox Niagara module. To complete the interface, we'll first download the 7-Knox module from the portal, then we'll copy and paste it into the Niagara module folder. Finally, we'll discover the control points and set up the data transfers using the Workbench's Get functions. Let's get started. To begin, log into the 7-Knox portal. Next, navigate to the Download Manager under the Settings menu. Click the Download button. Once the module is downloaded, copy and paste it into the Niagara Modules folder. Now we can start up Workbench. When Workbench is up and running, start Station under Application Director. Locate the 7-Knox module in the palette. Drag and drop the 7-Knox network module into the Drivers folder. Right-click on the 7-Knox network module and under Views, choose the AX property sheet. In the property sheet, enter your 7-Knox username and password. Now hit the Save button. We can now ping the network by right-clicking the 7-Knox network, going to Actions, and choosing Ping. If correctly configured, the status will show OK. Now, double-click on the 7-Knox network driver. Hit the Discover button to discover the control points. Drag and drop the site into the database. Right-clicking on the 7-Knox drive and choosing Actions menu will reveal 4 different Get functions for retrieving data from the 7-Knox platform. We will look at all 4 functions and see how they work with the 7-Knox portal. The Get All Schedules function will retrieve data from the 7-Knox Floor Manager. You can see in this example that we have corresponding zones listed in the manager, zones 1 through 7. If we execute Get All Schedules, we can see that all zones are now under the Schedule section of the Controller folder. The second function is the Get Bookings. Use this function to retrieve data from the Create a Single Booking section of the 7-Knox portal. For example, we can create a booking here in Zone 1, then return to our Supervisory app and check under the Zone 1 in the Special Events tab. At the moment, no booking is listed, but if we rerun the Get Bookings function and refresh the transfer, we now see that our new booking shows up under our Special Events tab. The third function is Get Holidays. This function gathers data from the 7NOX Holiday Manager. The fourth function is Get Daily Schedule. This function retrieves information from the 7NOX Site Manager page. If you're using 7NOX to schedule after-hours services, then you would select the days and times which make up your normal business hours. Ticking these boxes will determine those hours. The Get Daily Schedule function would then pull those selected days and times into Niagara. However, if you are using 7NOX as a simple scheduler for booking rooms at any time, then you would leave these boxes unticked. This would essentially tell Niagara that there are no normal business hours for your site and that tenants are open to book services at any time and day. Next, let's look at triggers. All four of the Get functions have triggers, which you can adjust. To access the triggers, right-click on the 7NOX Network driver, click on the Views tab, choose the AX Property Sheet, then click on Triggers. These triggers will determine the parameters of the data transfer. For example, in the Get All Schedules, the trigger mode is set to Daily by default. However, you can reset this parameter to Manual or Interval and customize the transfer. The same adjustments can be made for Get Bookings, Get Daily Events, and Get Holidays. Generally, the Get Bookings trigger is the most important because the other three are one-off transfers, while the bookings data is set to update every 10 minutes. But you can change this frequency if you like. So this is how you install the Niagara module and synchronize data from the 7NOX platform. Now let's look at how to link the Boolean schedule to the BMS controller points. If you have existing BACnet schedules for your site, please follow Integration Method 2 in the next section of the video. Otherwise, continue with Method 1. In our example, our BMS has 7 different zones, which correspond to our 7 different schedules. To link a schedule to a control point, right-click on Schedule Zone and click Link Mark. Then click on the corresponding BMS point and choose Link From. In the pop-up window, choose Out as your zone source and Fallback as your zone target. Follow this process for the remaining schedules and points you want to include. Now we'll test the system by making a booking in the 7NOX portal and making sure the BACnet points update in the Workbench database. If we go to Zone 1, go to the Special Events tab, and trigger the Get Bookings function, the booking we created on the 7NOX portal will show up. So this has been how to interface Niagara with the 7NOX portal using the new Niagara module. Previously, we used the Get All Schedules function to discover all schedules from the 7NOX network. We will now proceed by discovering and interfacing with existing BACnet schedules. To begin, go to the BACnet Schedules, double-click on Schedules, click on the top right-hand side, and choose the Schedule Export Manager. Finally, click the Discover button. For this example, we will use the Level 9 schedule. The first step is to rename the schedule to make it unique. Here we will add an AH to the end of the current name for after hours. We now need to connect this new schedule to our 7NOX schedule using the Supervisor override. Click the folder icon, select the Drivers drop-down, then the 7NOX network, the site controller, and finally level 9. Click OK to close the dialog box. We now need to configure the schedules to eliminate conflicts. To do this, we need to configure the skip rights property. Under the existing BACnet schedule, we will configure the exception schedule as true and hit save. We will now go to our after-hours schedule and configure the default and weekly schedule as true. And hit save. Now we can make a booking. We log into the 7 Knox portal and create a booking by selecting our level 9 tenancy and floor. We choose the date and time and hit create. Our new booking appears in the display section. We can now go back into Workstation to test the connection. To test the connection, we enter the 7 Knox network and open our triggers folder. By default, the triggers are set to 10 minutes. However, we can choose Get Bookings from the Actions menu to execute the trigger now. If we navigate to level 9, we can now see our booking listed as a special event. This completes the steps for connecting 7 Knox to existing BACnet schedules. Simply follow this process for the remaining levels.